Chapter 10, St Halb Day One. The route to Sam's place took us along a dirt track winding its way through some dense forest. With any luck, this is what the area around Henry's home will be like and give plenty of cover for the RVs. Tell us about the town of Jow, Sam. Like how many people live there, how big it is, where's the police station, how many officers, plus anything else you may think is essential. Spinning in my seat to face Sam.
Where do I start? Jow has around 500 locals all year round, which can stretch to 550 during the holiday season, with people coming over from St Bethany to work in the two hotels. For the size of the town, hard to say as it is spread over a fairly massive area. Joshua Boulevard itself is around 500 meters long, with shops, a cafe, and one of the two hotels running off from it. The station is located at the end of Joshua Boulevard near the port. The police force is made up of 2 constables and an inspector. The people are, on the whole, a friendly bunch with everyone knowing each other and what's going on, so be careful of what you say to anyone as it's worse than bloody Chinese whispers. Here you say something to one person before you know it, it's all over the island. You are perhaps aware, the island is split into 2 parts, with only the one road between the two. Henry's place on the North Island where the road comes to an abrupt end, I believe he had it extended to his home once he took over the family business. Takes around 40 minutes to drive from the police station to the plantation, might be handy to know that for what you're planning.
Thanks, Sam, some fantastic info, will come in useful later. What's the distance from Henry's to yours and Abby's place?
Not too far, around 15 minutes or so.
The idiots in the back are quiet, any questions?
Not from me.
Not from me either, not yet anyway, but sure, we will have a few once we arrive at Sam's place and get a full brief.
Here we are, gents, welcome to my humble abode. Not much I know, but it's home for Abby and me.
Sam had pulled up into a clearing in the woods. A slight breeze blew through and over the trees, making them sway gently in the morning air. At one side was a wooden structure, the doors were open, a Land Rover was parked inside, along with other broken vehicle parts scattered across the floor. Between it and the house was another building in need of some repair work. One side had crumpled and required fixing. The house, this was a single-story affair with a tile-clad roof, windows, and a door slightly off-center. This being the Caribbean tarmac must be reserved for the roads. So, the whole area was covered in a light dusting of sand. Didn't need to look too hard to see where Abby had done her best to keep the dust entering the house. Making sure Sam only drove his vehicle and the ones he repaired from the gate to the workshop. Surrounding the house, Abby had placed a white stone circle which prevented parking too close to the house. Beautiful place you got here. Any problem with the wildlife wandering in? When I said local wildlife, I was referring to the 2-legged kind.
Not anything worrying about. I put an electric fence all around. With just the one gate in or out, we managed to keep them away from the property. Shall we go inside? Abby will be expecting us.
Abby was a woman around 30 years old with long fair hair and about 5 feet 6 inches tall and was waiting for us in the kitchen, which was to the left of the front door when you entered the house. Not bad, as kitchens go, and where the home was located they had done a fantastic job in equipping it with everything you would need, from the range cooker, storage, and a big dining table taking up the majority of the space in the center of the room.
Abby, this gentleman here is Steve, that's Simon, the man over there is George.
Great to meet you all. Would anyone like a coffee, tea, or if you prefer, there are cold beers in the fridge.
No, that's okay. Coffee would be fine for me.
Same for me.
Sorry, but I am more of a cup of tea person when it is available,
replies George.
Not an issue. Please take a seat. I won't be a moment.
Might as well come with me while waiting for your brew. Gents, let me show you where you'll be getting your heads down.
Leading us through a small living room, Sam pointed out the washing facilities en route, out the back door to where an outbuilding stood about 2 meters from the building. Inside were 3 wooden beds, each with a blanket and pillow, a small window let in light.
Not much, but sure, it will be fit for purpose for gentlemen like yourselves.
Perfect, Sam, thanks.
Once you've dropped your kit, I will meet you back in the kitchen where Abby and myself can give you an update on what's been going on at Henry's place,
says Sam before turning and leaving the building. By the time we re-entered the kitchen, several maps and drawings had been placed on the table, along with aerial photos of Henry's home and the North Island.
Give us a shout when you're ready to go over this stuff.
Sam pointed towards the table. Now is as good as time as any, might as well start straight away. Let's begin with the layout, I say, walking over to the table.
From the photographs taken about 6 months ago, you can make out where the property is divided into 3 areas. The house and a few outbuildings are situated towards the back. Over here are the wine production and bottling warehouses. The vineyards stretch from here all the way to the edge of the coast. The men and women are using the vineyard to hide the growth of marijuana plants. Our sunny climate, with a gentle breeze coming off the sea, makes this place ideal for growing stuff outdoors. The 2 huge water tanks, one at each end, are topped up frequently from a supply in the bottling plant. To gain entry to the property, you need to go via the front gate at the end of the tarmac road. On the majority of the days, at least 2 people are monitoring the entrance 24 hours a day from the small gatehouse. Nearly always, they are armed with rifles and 2 dogs. The rest of the gang, when they are not working, are housed in either the house or warehouse.
How many people are staying at the property, Sam?
Around 20 altogether. They are led by a man called Hadley. I recognize him from a function that was held here. He is a relative of Paul who runs the island police.
Any idea of the firepower we'll be dealing with?
From what I've seen on visits to repair vehicles and other equipment, they are all armed, some with SMGs, AK-47s, seen a few M72 light anti-armor weapon knocking about.
Crap, don't fancy one of them up the rear end as we drive off. Definitely fuck up anyone's day. A few questions before Abby gives us a more detailed look at the inside of the house. Sure, George will have a few on them dogs as well. You have any questions on the transport side of things, Simon?
What vehicles do they have, Sam? Are they reliable, and do you know a way you can nobble them to prevent the fuckers using them to give chase?
There is one lorry which they used to go into Jowl on a Thursday to pick up fresh supplies. Plus, a couple of Land Rovers. Which reminds me, Henry's old one is in the garage for you. Then there is a speedboat kept at the boathouse.
Sam pointed at the map. A quick question from me. Do you know if they're in high spirits or any signs of friction? Always an advantage if a little unrest is taking place. People don't tend to put up a good fight if they're not completely into something.
Some shouting and gun pointing the other day, apart from that I couldn't say.
Next time you're at Henry's, Sam, do me a favor, swipe one of their bins.
What the hell for?
Trust me, you can tell a lot from the enemy's rubbish they leave behind. For example, if they are well fed, have a proper diet, empty bottles along with excess bod roll could indicate illness, plus lots more, all handy to find out if our boys are in a good mood and well organized and ready to put up a good fight or not. Got any questions on them pooches, George?
A few, Henry said, maybe 6 of them. If so, where are they kept, and how well trained do you think they are?
From what I can tell there are at least 6, they are housed in kennels at the rear of the gatehouse.
Again Sam pointed to the map.
Not being a dog handler, couldn't tell you how trained they are, sorry. Any questions, Simon?
Can see from the map that only one road goes to the property. Any more tracks that go around the North Island? If so, where are they on this map?
Yes, but they are not marked, as they are only old dirt tracks used by a few people, apart from this one that leads up the hill. I could sketch a rough idea of their locations, but it won't be very accurate.
I turned to face Abby. Could you give us an overview of the house, please? Abby grabbed a piece of paper on which she had sketched a plan of the building.
The house consists of 2 floors. The living room, kitchen, study and dining room are all on the bottom floor. Upstairs are 6 bedrooms, all en suite. The master bedroom is on this side of the house. Below the house is a small cellar that includes a tunnel leading over to the warehouse. The family used it when the weather outside was terrible. The living room is complete with French doors leading out to a patio at the rear of the building. The same goes for the study. The back door leads off the kitchen.
Thanks for that. All we need to do today is check out the town of Jowl. Could you show us around, Sam?
Would love to, but I have to go and repair a couple of broken down vehicles for a friend. Sure, Abby will show you around.
Of course, I have to do some shopping. Don't allow cars near the house, blows the bloody dust everywhere, including inside the home. so you will have to walk over to the garage with me.
Okay, you're the boss, Abby. Inside the garage was an old Jeep, parked next to a battered old Land Rover. Abby reached up onto a shelf, grabbed a set of keys and tossed them in Simon's direction. May have a few hours work when we arrive back, mate, to get that heap back into working order.
Cheers, Steve.
No problem, it's what you cavalry types were born to do. Is the center of town hard to find from here, Abby?
Not particularly, you basically just keep following this road until you reach the edge of town, then a few turns and hey presto you're in Jal.
Hear that, Simon? Even you couldn't become lost.
Know what you can do. Maybe Jel's got a town square you can go and stand on.
The drive to town did not take long, and as Abby had indicated, the route was straightforward with not too many turns. More importantly, the roads were not in a bad condition. Which meant to us if we needed to bug out this way, we would be able to do so with speed. Abby pulled into a small car park and parked the car.
That's it, gents, we are here. Have to go to the supermarket and do some other stuff. I'll be about 2 hours. Want me to wait for you or will you be making your own way back?
Best we play it safe. The fewer people who know we are here or connected to you, the better. So we will wait around the corner from here in 2 hours from now. Word of warning, Abby, be careful of how much you buy.
Okay, have fun, boys. Joshua Boulevard is there, where you will find the best public house in town.
First stop, the bar it is then, gents.
Suggest before we grab some scran, we do a complete recce of the town, find what's located where, just in case we have to come this way off the island. Let's start on Joshua Boulevard.
At first glance, Jal seemed a lot bigger than Phoebe on St. Bethany, perhaps due to this being the only town on the island. Joshua Boulevard ran down the middle, one street over from the road, which ran parallel with the shoreline. Reminded me a little of the Grand Bahamas, with colorful wooden houses lining the street and the open-air market running down the center of the road. Made a change to see the stalls selling fresh food and items people needed rather than full of the tourist junk nobody really wanted. Along the street, at least 2 hotels were looking not too similar to the ones in Phoebe. Halfway down on the right was a coffee shop with any luck, the one ran by Katie and Cody. Could leave the visit to after we had checked out the rest of Jal. Need to make a plan, not as straightforward as walking in and asking to speak to Katie. A little further down Joshua Boulevard, but on the opposite side, was a local bar. Now that could be worth a visit, the best place to listen to the local gossip, could even hear something about our friends at Henry's Gaff. At the point where the road comes to an end, you are faced with a T-junction. The right went to the port and left to another road similar to the street we were on. Just check out the port, then who's up for a quick beer?
Thought you would never ask. Got a mouth like a camel's flip-flop,
said Simon pretending to cough.
Don't you mean polo donkey, Simon?
Fuck off, fat boy, or you're on the soft drinks through a straw.
Oh no, I'm shaking.
The port, which was now in front of us, was a little busy with lots of people, a mixture of locals and holidaymakers milling around, going about with not a care in the world. At one end was a building which looked like it hadn't seen a lick of paint in a few years. Above the door was a sign, police station. To the right was an iron gate, beyond that was the jetty. Now that might be an issue later next week. Still keeping our options open on our escape plan. Always have more than one method for an exit has always been part of the plan. Towards the far end, next to the pier was a float plane moored next to a small wooden building. Will be time to check that tomorrow. Now is beer o'clock. Usually, on a mission, we would take a different route than we just made, but at the moment, nobody knows anything about us or why we are here. Hence, we went the same way back and started to head up Joshua Boulevard towards the local bar we had seen on the way to the port. Halfway along was a side street leading off the main drag was virtually past when I caught something in the corner of my eye, which needed a closer look. What the fuck? A group of men hurling verbal abuse at a woman and small child sat on the pavement. I grabbed Simon and George. Now that is out of fucking order.
Leave it, Steve, it's not our problem.
At that moment, the woman received a smack to the side of the head. Nope, not having that.
Steve, leave it.
Any of you see a fucking chimp? Yelling at the top of my voice in the direction of the attackers. Any of you fuckers want to pick on someone who can fight back? while charging towards them, immediately followed by Simon and George. The attackers initially tried to stand their ground, but after the biggest one hit the floor, as a result of a perfectly placed hard kick just below and upwards on his right knee, they all fled as the other two caught up.
Calm down yet?
Excellent, thanks. Now the chimps arrived. So, what was all that about? The woman lifted her head while trying to comfort her now crying child.
Not sure, I only asked them if they could spare some money as we have not eaten for a few days. Then they came abusive, one of them hit me.
Right, stay here for a few minutes with these two. Don't worry, you'll be safe. Was not long before I returned carrying 2 large bags.
What you got there, Steve?
Some food for these two. Can't let these good people go hungry.
How do you know she isn't pulling your pisser and taking you for a ride?
Trust me, I know, Simon. Placed the bags by the feet of the still sobbing women and reached into my jacket pocket, taking out some money with an outreached hand. Here, take this as well as the food. There is 200. Go home and take care of yourself and your beautiful daughter. With this, the two disappeared into the distance.
Never known you to be such a soft arse before, Steve. Maybe we are seeing a new side of him, Simon.
Doubt it. That man is as cold-hearted as they come, probably hasn't even got a heart.
Why don't you two go forth and multiply?
Who's getting the beers in?
The bar was your typical Caribbean local bar with an old-style TV on the wall, complete with a small bar which ran against the back wall. A few bottles of the local brew and spirits were neatly lined up along the top shelf. A few locals were inside drinking and playing cards. So we grabbed a few beers and went outside. Occupied several seats at one of the wooden tables covered with a plastic tablecloth overlooking the street. Anyway, we still need to make contact with Katie without people eavesdropping on our conversation. Not that Simon would give away too much on the phone. He's far too much of a professional for that. A quick check on Mickey told us we were running a little late for our pickup time by Abby. Better call Katie and arrange a meeting for tomorrow, Simon. The phone rang a few times before a man answered. Shit, now what? Simon thought to himself. Time to think on his feet. This was absolutely the right number.
Hi, is Katie there?
No, sorry, she is out. Try calling back in a couple of hours. She should be around then. Anything I can help you with?
No, I'll call back later.
Time is getting on, and due to no small part to this idiot.
George pointed at me.
Playing Robin Hood and rescuing the poor. We've no time for another drink, so better leave now if we are going to meet with Abby.
Time we returned to the pickup point, Abby was waiting for us.
Had a good time, boys, and get everything done you need to.
All good, thank you.
Excellent, thought I would treat you all to a Caribbean barbecue tonight.
Once we arrived at Abby's place, Sam was already back. You managed to repair all the vehicles? Sam paused for a few seconds before answering.
Repaired the car in no time, an easy job.
Was going to question him on the fact he said he had 2 vehicles to fix, but left it at that and grabbed the beer I was being handed.
We'll start the barbecue in about 30 minutes, if you gents would like to get cleaned up. That includes you, Sam.
On our way, boss lady. Would be fantastic to wind down for a while, something none of us has really done since we arrived in St. Bethany last week. What could be better than sitting around a barbecue, a few beers and good friends on a warm evening in the Caribbean? Don't get too comfortable and start to relax too much, Simon. You still need to make contact with Katie.
No issue, you two arseholes rest while I carry on working.
Stop your complaining. You'll be done by the time George finishes his shower.
True, there is a lot of him to wash. Think on George washing it for more than 30 seconds is classed as a wank.
Picking up the phone, Simon redialed Katie's number. A woman answered the phone this time when Simon called.
Hi, is that Katie from Perth?
No, this is Katie from Headland?
This is Simon, spoke the other day.
Yes, Simon, I remember. Are you on the island now?
Yes, can we arrange a meeting for tomorrow, say around 11:30, at the coffee shop?
No problem. If for any reason I'm not about, ask for Cody. He's my husband. He is fully aware of what's going on. Great, see you at 11:30.
Take a seat, the food will not be long. The beers are in the cooler, help yourselves.
Says Abby, coming outside to join us. A small fire was started in a circle of stones by Sam, a little distance from the house. Guess Abby had a rule about smoke going into her home as well as dust.
Give us a hand with these old sofas, Steve. We can put them around the fire. Might as well be comfortable.
So, what's your story, Sam? How did you end up on St Halb?
Well, left the army after 4 years in the Royal, Electrical and Mechanical Engineers. Before, I bought myself out and settled in Farnham, where I was employed as a mechanic for about 3.5 years. Soon became bored with the job and found it more of a challenge living in the rat race. Plus was getting into debt. Moved here about 5 years ago with Abby. Worked for Henry most of the time here as knew him from a posting in the army.
Grubs up, folks. Sam, give us a hand to carry it over to the table. Hope you like it. Mind you, if you don't like it, that's all you're getting.
Laid out in front of us was a wide selection of meat, fresh salad, fruits, and my favorite, jacket potatoes. Thank you, Abby. What a genuinely fantastic feast. Far better than Simon's egg banjos.
What's an egg banjo?
Come on. You said you were in the army, Sam, and you haven't told Abby about egg banjos. What sort of soldier were you?
Have you not guessed yet? Abby is a strong-minded woman. If you try to say she was making an egg sandwich wrong, you're likely to get a slap.
The whole evening was spent sitting around the fire, merely chatting and telling the odd war story, and, of course, far more than we intended to drink. Must have been the small hours of the morning before we called it a night, but hey, we needed to relax. The next week or so is going to be hard on us all.